The news, good evening. The Employment Department said there are several job applications for foreign workers now that economic activities are resuming, especially in the tourism industry. This week, the Constance Group of Hotels welcomed 82 foreign workers to work in the Hotel of Ephilia and Lemuria. The Director General of the Labour Migration Unit, Benilda Cupidon, says that the Constance Hotels had applied for work permit after they could not recruit enough local workers to fill these positions. The Employment Department has also confirmed that they have received a letter from Seychelles stating their intention to terminate the contract of 11 pilots. The Director General for Labour Relations, Steve Monet, said the department has indeed received complaints from staff of Seychelles, but have not met any representative of the airline nor its staff. Seychellois businessman Justin Edzin, the owner of the Seychelles Medical Clinic, is still waiting for permission from the Ministry of Health in order to bring in several types of COVID-19 vaccines for the benefits of Seychellois citizens and visitors alike. Mr. Edzin says that it has been seeking the permission for the past 6 months, but has been unsuccessful so far. Yesterday, he even published an open letter addressed to the Minister of Health, Mrs. Peggy Vidot. Johnson & Johnson is the first vaccine that Mr. Edzin is hoping to bring in, and he says he will be bearing all the costs.
So we have been trying to bring in vaccinations for Seychelles for the last 6 months, and we have not had much success at the moment in managing for this to happen. And I thought that it was important that the Seychellois and the people of Seychelles know that the private sector is trying to support the Ministry of Health and provide vaccinations in Seychelles. So our initial response when we applied for vaccinations was to be told that the private clinics were not to be mandated to be able to provide vaccinations in Seychelles. And having applied several more times to ask if this could be done, we have had no positive response. Since the open letter was written yesterday, we also have had no formal response.
What kind of vaccines are you hoping to bring in, and where are they coming from?
So we're hoping to bring in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, and also the AstraZeneca vaccine. This will be coming directly from the manufacturers, wherever they're located. Some will be the US, some will be Europe, and others will be other parts of the world.
When we talk about vaccines, there's the issue of expiration. How soon do you need the approval of the Ministry of Health in order to be able to bring in a stock of vaccine that's sound and safe?
We need approval very soon. We really need approval in the coming week. If not, we're going to miss our allocation. And this is why I wrote a public open letter, because at the moment now, if we miss our allocation, then we might not get an allocation to next year.
The Ministry of Education has laid out its plan on the integration of financial education within schools. The Chief Education Officer for Technical and Professional Education, Jean Alcador, says that the ministry will have a consultant who will be carrying out all the work.
A sum worth of 300,000 rupees financed through the National Financial Education Fund, administered by the Central Bank of Seychelles, will be allocated to the Ministry of Education for the implementation of the project entitled Integration and Mapping of the Know About Business Modules into the Primary Secondary Schools Curriculum and the Program of Studies of Professional Centers. The project consists of the following steps. First of all, a consultant will be hired to conduct a research and consultation within the business environment and within the education sector to find out what actually the business sector and the education sectors are doing with regards to the implementation of the existing entrepreneurship educations, and what are the challenges and opportunities which exist, which will be followed by the mapping exercise of the Know About Business modules and the financial education across the curriculum of the different educational institutions. This will be followed by the validation of the integrated MAP curriculum, which will be done jointly by the consultant and the Ministry of Education. The final submission of the document will then be made by the consultant to the Ministry of Education.
The dissolution of the Tertiary Education Commission, or TEC, is being finalized. This was announced by the Ministry of Education during a press conference this afternoon. The dissolution was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers on the 2nd of June. The Chief Executive Officer for the Tertiary Education Commission, Jean-Michel Domingue, says that the dissolution was necessary to eliminate duplication of work within government entities. However, there needs to be amendments within the Tertiary Education Act so that the dissolution is completed.
To do with research, for example, to do with monitoring and evaluation, all of these were being done at the level of the ministry, but TEC was also doing. So it does not affect the working of the tertiary education sector at all for TEC to be removed. We believe that in the dissolution of TEC and in the repartitioning of its responsibilities to the ministry and to SQA, this will serve to strengthen certain structures in the ministry. It will serve to strengthen SQA as well as a regulator. SQA is already in the process of revising its law, so it will be in a good position for it to pick up responsibilities, for example, registration of institutions, and then certain quality assurance responsibilities which had been given to TEC. This can be picked up easily. The ministry can pick up other responsibilities. But we are not, as an institution, as an agency, we are not dissolved yet because TEC is embedded in the Tertiary Education Act. So the Tertiary Education Act needs to be amended.
In other news, the President of United Seychelles, Dr. Patrick Emini, says the 8 months since the LDS government is in power have been 8 months of disappointment. Dr. Emini said that during the 6th press conference by the U.S. today, he gave a brief account of how U.S. has seen the 8 months since the change of government in Seychelles, which he describes as one where the people of Seychelles were seeking a change for the better, but that the new government is still stuck in the past. The Seychelles Breweries has announced the appointment of Bertrand Bell as the commercial director, which will take effect in August. Mr. Bell started his career in the Ministry of Finance and has a master in public administration from Harvard University. Seychelles Breweries now employs 145 people, 95% of whom are local. Good evening.